Hello everyone, my name is Bradley and welcome to Mediocre Models. In this video I'm going to show how I would paint my Blitzkrieg Germans using contrast paints. The model is undercoated in corax white, and the paints I'll be using will be basilicanum grey, creed camo, space wolves grey, skeleton horde, gore grunter fur, black templar, snakebite leather, Guilliman flesh, leadbelcher, and then nuln oil and agrax earthshade for the shades at the end. So I'll get everything set up and then we can start with the first paints. The first thing I'm going to paint is his jacket and helmet, and for that I'm going to make a mixture, 2 parts basilicanum grey to 1 part creed camo, and I took this recipe from Sonic Sledgehammer Studios video. It makes a really nice German field grey, or at least I think it does. If you're painting more models, I would suggest using a larger brush to make more of the mixture up. As you can see, just made the mixture up and I'm just painting it straight onto his jacket. And I'll also paint his helmet in this color as well. When using this, just try to avoid getting it onto any of his equipment at the back or his pants. So I'll continue on and finish him off, and then we'll come back and look at him. While his uniform dries, and after you've finished painting the uniform in that nice green-grey sort of field grey, the next colour I'm going to go on is to straight creed camo, and for this I'll paint in his equipment at the back here. So just his little cooking tray and his the top of his water bottle. As well as any heads for the grenades. And that's it for the creed camo. The next colour I'll move on to will be skeleton horde, and this will just go straight onto his bread bag. And that'll be it for just the skeleton horde. The next colour I'll move on to will be gore grunter fur, and this will be for any leather straps on the weapons. The next colour I'll move on to will be Space Wolves Grey, and this will just go onto his pants. Try to avoid getting it onto his jacket, but it's not a big worry if you get it onto his boots, because we'll be going over that with the black, and it'll cover right over it. So the next thing I'll do is I'll go to corax white, and I'll fix up any areas that I want painted in snakebite leather, which will be the next paint, and that'll be any wood for the weapon, wood for the grenades that he's got tucked onto him, and also for his water bottle at the back here. The next colour I'll move on to will be snakebite leather, and this will go onto the wooden areas for the weapon, so obviously on the main body part of the rifle here, but also any wooden areas for the grenades if they have them, and also for his cantina. And be careful when putting this on, make sure you don't get it on any of the other parts of the uniform. So I'll finish him off and then we'll come back to the next colour. The next colour I will move on to will be Black Templar, and for this it'll go all over his boots, when using it be careful not to get it onto his pants. It'll also go over his webbing, so his straps at the back here, his belt that goes right the way around, as well as his ammo pouches, his chin strap for his helmet if they have it, the straps at the front, and also any straps that are on the water canteen, which runs down, and for his cooking thing. I'd recommend using a much smaller brush to do the more finicky areas, but I'll go around, I'll do all the black on him, and then once that's dry I'll go to corax white, fix up any areas on his skin, and then we'll move on to the final contrast paint. Now that the Black Templar is dry and I've gone around and cleaned up all the skin, the next colour I'll move on to will be Guilliman flesh, and this will go straight onto just all of his flesh. It'll be his face, as well as his hands. Once all the Guilliman flesh is done, move on to the metallics. And then he'll basically be finished. It'll just be time for the final shades. That's Guilliman flesh done. The Guilliman flesh is basically almost fully dry now, so the next colour I'll move on to will be leadbelcher, and this will just be for all the metallic areas. I've also put some Black Templar just onto the hilt of his bayonet here. So to go into all the main parts of his weapon, his belt buckle, any clips that are on his equipment, as well as the O-ring for his back straps. If you have any with the officer's cap or the side caps, there'd probably be eagles on those, which I would also paint in using leadbelcher, but the choice is yours. When painting the side caps or the officer's caps as well, I would also use the German field grade mixture on that as well. And when using that mixture, do try and be careful not to go over any areas you've already gone over before, otherwise you'll get this darker tone compared to areas which have had one spot. But it's alright if you get a little bit mixed up like that. Once you go over with the shades, you should blend it all in. So I'll continue on and finish his weapon and the metal areas, and then once that's dry we'll go on to the final shades. Now that the leadbelcher is fully dried, the next paint I'll move on to will be nuln oil, and this will just go over all the metallic areas. I like to do all my metal this way because it's nice and simple and I like the look of it. I'll just obviously go over all the metal on his weapon, as well as his belt buckle. Any metal areas on the officer's cap or the side cap, as well as any buckles on the back as well. That's it for the nuln oil, so I'll let that dry and then we'll come to our final shade. Now that the nuln oil has dried, the next paint I'll move on to will be agrax earthshade, and this will just be a shade over the entirety of the model. When putting this on, try to avoid putting it onto any of the major metallic areas of the weapons or of the model. I like to put this on all my models just to really darken them down a lot, and it also gives them a nice battered, weathered feel to them. Makes it look like they've been in combat for quite some time. When putting the agrax earthshade on, just make sure there's no major pooling anywhere. Just try to spread it around or absorb it up. So we'll let that shade dry and then we'll come back and we'll see how he looks. With the agrax earthshade now basically fully dry, this is what the completed model looks like. I won't do any highlights or anything like that, that's how I just paint my models. Gives them a nice, really gritty, worn-torn look to them. Makes them look more authentic, I think. The only thing left to do now would be to base him and he would be finished. When doing the uniforms using the colours, it's 2 parts basilicanum grey to 1 part creed camo. I would suggest using a much larger brush to get more out, to make a bigger pool if you're going to paint multiple models. Using a smaller brush like I did, you can use it to do about one model, but I ran into the problem where I had to get a little bit more out, and this is how I get the parts of the uniform that look a bit darker than other parts. So you want to try and make sure that you only go over the uniform once, and then you can get a nice look to it. So yeah, so that's how I'd paint my Blitzkrieg German infantry. Hope you enjoyed the video, hope you learned something or liked it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.